When you're ready.
Oh, this meeting is a discussion among commissioners and select presenters. I got new contacts in here. The public is welcome. Oh my goodness me. Items scheduled may be moved or discussed during a different portion of the meeting based on circumstances or availability of speakers. This meeting will be hybrid. This meeting will be hybrid. The commissioners meeting will have a physical location at the city and county building in the Canon 335. And members of the public may provide public comment in person. Commissioners and presenters may join or participate either in person or through electronic means. You may also watch a recording of the meeting on the slc.rep.commission meeting YouTube channel. Right? Next.
Yes.
So, welcome, everybody. I don't know you. It's like, this is cool. I know you. So, I guess we're gonna do a roll call. I don't have the,
Just you can go around the room.
I go around, okay. So I'm Tammy Hopkins. I'm the chair of the committee.
And then everybody can say their name.
I'm Katie Durante.
Steve Calvert.
Chris Hansen.
Andrew Clough.
Damien Choi.
Steve Andrew.
Michelle Mooney, Equity Manager for the Salt Lake City Mayor's Office.
Then Maria Romero, Executive Assistant to the Chief Equity Officer. Thank you.
And then we'll go to people online. We'll start with you, Captain.
Yvette Zayas.
Linda McCarthy.
Is Linda there? Is that it?
Commissioner Foster, did you just want to introduce yourself?
Toylani Kavapalu.
Thank you. And Hassan, did you want to introduce yourself?
Nicole's not doing it. I didn't know. Do we have everything?
Mrs.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome all the new representatives here. I've been part of this for 2 years. 2 years? I'm going on my 3rd year. So please, and just like tell me some background, give me some background, please. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
New commissioners, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, I know.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Katie. I moved to Salt Lake City from Las Vegas in 2022. Because I took a job at the University of Utah, where I am an assistant professor in sociology and criminology.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
Are you?
I'm Steve Calvert, and I work for the Salt Lake County Justice Court as the administrator.
Roxana Orellana, I am the new policy advisor for refugees and new Americans in the mayor's office.
I am Chris. I am the Know Your Neighbor Refugee Volunteer Program Coordinator for the Salt Lake City Mayor's Office.
Me?
Yes.
Lieutenant Andrew Clough. I'm the Chief's Executive Officer for Salt Lake City Police Department.
I'm Olivia and I work with Utah Low Vision Services.
Damien Choi. I'm the new Chief Equity Officer.
Steve Andrew. I'm a commissioner here on the CREP. Started with Tanya. I'll be stepping away from the commission here in April or so. I've been extended because I'm working with the city on distributing the ARPA money, that grant process.
Yeah.
When that ends, I'll step aside.
Okay. So congratulations, David.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'm Dia. I'm a new member of the Racial Equity Commission, a student at West.
That's fine. Welcome. Thank you. That's great.
And then we have Joy Lonnie online. She's one of our new commissioners as well. Did you want to just give a little bit of your background?
Sure. I grew up here in Salt Lake City. So for the past 22 years I've been here, and I'm also, like Michelle said, one of the new commissioners, and I currently work at the University of Utah in the Eccles Health Sciences Library.
Welcome. The dialogue with that. So yes,
Now we can, because we just met for.
so we can inform. Okay. During this portion of the meeting, commissioners may raise topics and discuss current events that may impact or influence the commission's overall work. Discussions and deliberations to provide recommendations to the mayor and the city council regarding the Salt Lake City Police Department policies, budget, and culture. No action will be taken during this section of the meeting. Did I say that right? Okay. Matters discussed during the section of the meeting may be scheduled on a subsequent agenda for follow-up. Sorry, I've been rushing all day.
No.
The first is a public comment. Do we have anybody in the public?
Or did you want to open up
Oh,
for open dialogue? Well, open up the floor for open dialogue if there's any concerns.
oh, there's something dialogue. I'm new to this. Everyone's. So do we have anything to discuss open dialogue? I mean, anything discussion like what happened in this? No. You
I definitely have some thoughts.
about the Memphis or
Sure, but does anybody, I don't want to jump.
yeah?
across
Does
the line,
anybody have any comments? Don't be shy. We're not shy here.
I'm used to it also.
Just so everyone can hear online, we're gonna use these mics, so make sure they're on with the green light being on.
Okay.
Whoops. And then, yeah, kind of share with your neighbor if you want.
So, Lieutenant, how is the police department handling what happened in Memphis? I mean, has there been talk?
Yeah, so we watched the video as it was being released, and the chief was in close contact with the Memphis Police Department as well. We released a statement, not only to the officers, but to the public through our public relations director. Obviously, we can't stand behind actions like that. What we observed was abhorrent, and I think police departments across the nation would all agree. That's not how professional officers should act, right?
Right.
And that was reflected in the statement that we released as well. We haven't seen any pushback at all from outside entities or within the department. I think all of our officers stand behind that statement.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have anything else? Oh, person that just, hi. Can you hear me, Mr.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Introduce yourself. She was here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had a sneaky.
Oh, okay, I got it. Roxanne. Steve?
So just a few brief comments during this open dialogue section. This was added to the agenda not quite a year ago because when these intense incidents would happen in the community, we would gather as a body to try to address ways to improve the service of the police department, acknowledging that they do a lot of things really well, but no one can do everything right all the time. And we're here to have a supportive and yet critical eye. So when these intense issues would happen across the country, they would tend to dominate the feelings and the thoughts in the meetings. And we decided to set aside time to get those feelings out and express them, and then focus on our agenda. And I think it's been a really healthy thing. Relative to that task force in Memphis, Scorpion. So my background is in law enforcement, and I have concern about units like that being developed to go be very aggressive towards crime in the community. And I think that if they're not carefully regulated, and it's not extremely clear what they're supposed to accomplish, then officers tend to find what they want to do on their own. And even in the highest crime areas, there's not crime all the time. And so then you're looking for something to do. And that's a very, very powerful tool to be over policing a community when it's not during some intense criminal event, right? And I think that it caused me to reflect on my basic knowledge of what happens here in Salt Lake City. And I just want to acknowledge one positive thing, the implementation of the crime reduction plan in the Ballpark District is a very thoughtful and measured process that is not just overwhelming the community with law enforcement resources and all crimes seem the same, right? It's a thought out and well approached process that's backed with studies from University of San Antonio and very measured with community engagement and officer presence, and very thoughtful approach, which is very, very different than what's happening in Memphis, right? So first I wanted to acknowledge that, and then secondly, looking for those areas where there may be unexpected outcomes is one of the purposes of this body. So I remember after George Floyd, having conversations with our local police department, and then having them say, we thought we were doing pretty good. Well, yes and no, right? So the response that we got here in Salt Lake, we saw it in the streets, we saw it in reform, we saw it by our local politicians and various news groups. Without a collective approach, without multiple points of view, without an equity lens, we're not going to find the different ways that we could do better as a police department. And I think that's the purpose for this body. And so that situation in Memphis, it's an absolute outrage, and no, we cannot stand behind it. And we also have to do the work every day to make sure that we don't accidentally come across a situation like that, right? So that our policies and our actions and our efforts by our police departments are measured and thought out, and there's a community perspective that comes along with it to get some of the best outcomes. So that's one of the reasons I'm proud to be on this commission, and I support law enforcement in general. I also recognize there's reform to be done and we can do better. So if we don't look for that accountability, we're not going to have the police department that we want. So that's the job of this commission, and that's what brings me to be part of this. So I hope you all feel that same drive, because we have a great department, we have support, but we can always do better. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
I just, or what?
go ahead, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the things I kind of want to talk about, I've been a foster parent, a single foster parent in Salt Lake County for 32 years. I probably have raised probably close to over 100 kids. One of the things we always dwell upon the most radical stuff that hits us in the face all the time. I mean, the George Floyd's, the other young man that was pulled from his car and beaten by the 5 officers in Memphis, and then just these other things, and then the officer in New York City who beat the 13-year-old girl. Those things are so radical, they're in our face, and we get enraged over those things. But one of the things I think that we really need to, as I saw some of these things, I started to think about some of the things that we face in our society, and what I call it subtle racism. And that's one of the things I think that if we can, if we teach, if we watch out for that, and we look for those markers, and we try to, bring those things to people's attention, even to our police officers, even to our public, even to our officials, our political officials, and all those people, to let them know that some of the things that they're doing is just really kind of subtle racism. And I think we have to focus in on some of those things, but we really jump on top of the radical stuff that's in our face, and we forget about the subtlety of it. And I think we see that and I see it with kids that are in care and how they're treated within the public, not only by officers and by the school system. And I think those are things that we have to really bring real focus to in order to tone it down and to try to get rid of it. And I think those are things that'll help tone down some of the most radical stuff. And so I'm really grateful to be on this board and on the commission here, and be able to see a change come. I am 100% in support of our police. I've never been about defunding the police ever. I think that we need to do more education, more training, that we need to be able to give our police officers the training and some of the tools that they need in order to be able to weed out some of the guys that don't want to follow what the real protocol is. And so I'm in support of it, of the police department all the way. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Like, I would just like to say that I'm on board too. I think that that's one of the things that motivated me to, apply for this spot. This is definitely something new to me, something, a learning curve for me as well, but I feel like I would like to take part of having both the community and the police department working together in regards to specifically teenagers, like you had mentioned. I've seen and struggled my own with my child, and I would definitely want single parents, particularly because I've been a single mom as well. And so, to have that support, and I think that I have encountered that support, and also gone another way around it. But I would want that the community be having that support from the police department, and having that appropriate communication with the individuals as well is definitely beneficial. I appreciate you guys letting me be here.
Thank you for being here. Anybody else?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think it's a good example to keep in mind that that's something like being in academia, working with product technologists, something that comes up a lot is we need to diversify our police force. We need more people of color in policing and more women in policing. And of course, those things are important, but they're not a panacea, right? They don't solve everything. And I think that the case in Memphis really highlights that it's deeper than that. It takes more systemic efforts than just simply saying we need more diversity. Right? That's like a Band-Aid approach. I think that's something just important to keep in mind. So yeah, thank you. And like you, I'm happy to be here.
Great. Love it. Do you have something, Captain? No? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So now I go to
Just,
so public comment.
which is.
There's no public? Okay. So then we go to approve and adopt minutes from January 23rd, 2023.
And then you would just.
I'm making a
motion.
What? I'm sorry.
I call it, it's a motion, motion to accept the minutes from January 2023.
Okay, second.
I read them, I was comfortable, I have a second. So, second.
Okay.
And all in
Call for a
favor.
vote.
Call for a vote, to approve the minutes of January 2023.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. I just, no,
Just call, you can call to see if anybody's opposed.
Yeah.
is anybody opposed to this? Anybody online?
Sounds like.
Okay. The minutes have been approved. Next is the Salt Lake Police Department chief update. I understand Chief Brown is not able to be here,
Yep.
but we have you, sir?
All right, my turn.
Yep, your turn.
First off, thanks for letting me be here. I really appreciate it.
Is your mic on?
Yes. It's green. The chief apologizes that he couldn't be here. He's out of town right now, so all the way across the country, but he sends his best regards as well. I think we have a slide deck. My intent tonight was to show you the proposals, the cost proposals that I got back for the diversity, equity, and inclusion presentations. There was one I have not yet gotten back. I sent a reminder email and still haven't gotten a reply. But we'll present what I do have available if you want to move to the next slide. And so, yep, I will be providing an update on the San Diego retired chief, Daniel Hahn, and his proposal. He was going to do a video for us. You can actually move to the next slide. Thanks, Michelle. Entitled A Way Forward. It was going to be a 1-hour presentation, so he could record the history of policing in America, history of African Americans, Native Americans, Chinese, and Japanese Americans, as well as Mexican Americans within America, and law enforcement's role in that history. And then to connect the history to current day circumstances, as well as modern reflections of our history, like right here in Salt Lake City. I won't go into too much detail on that. But it will go over the history, as well as touching on redlining and then education, how there has been segregation within the education system, Native Americans having private boarding schools, and then law enforcement's role within that history, providing safety and security when African Americans first went to what were once segregated schools, and then trying to integrate those two cultures and communities. And then I think he listed specifically that, the U.S. Marshals with Ruby Bridges. Sorry, I can't see that far. And then he planned on going over implicit bias, as well as today's law enforcement and what we can do moving forward to improve relations with our communities and with those of color within our communities as well. So that is his plan. If you move to the next slide, he has proposed $9,000 will cover the development of that presentation, his recording that, and rental of a studio, as well as any other equipment that is needed to record that video. This does not include if he has to fly to Salt Lake or stay in Salt Lake, that would be included later, but he believes he can do everything that he needs to do in San Diego and provide a fantastic video for us at that initial cost. He was not available to join the commission this evening. More than likely, he will join in March when the chief is back and he can introduce him to the commission. That way you'll be able to meet him in quasi-person. He'll be on video linked with all of us. So. But that was his proposal. He did say he can get us a line-by-line item cost breakout if we need that. So if that's something that the commission would like, I can reach out to him and have him provide that as well. Okay, perfect. I will do that for him. The next one, sorry, it was legal equity advocates. This is the family of three, the Tosinga family. Izzy is a retired Salt Lake City police officer. He retired with 20 plus years here. His wife is Mona Jean and their son Stephen, who are both attorneys with Legal Equity Advocates. And Izzy has done presentations all across the US for advocacy, gangs and police encounters and dealing with bridging those community gaps between police and gangs. So he brings a great wealth of knowledge and experience, not only from the law enforcement side, but also from the community side. Their family represents the NHPI community, so our Pacific Islanders. We've asked them to present their training based around that community and how historically law enforcement has dealt with those communities, or if they've been neglected, how we can bridge the gap between law enforcement and the NHPI community as well. So this is their cost proposal, and they broke it out line by line. To develop the training module, they figured it would be around 180 hours between the three consultants developing that, and based on their estimated budget, it would be $9,000 just to develop the training. To develop and conduct the training survey with one consultant, they're willing to do that on their own. The survey would go out to all officers to see what they know initially, from what I understand. A basic understanding of our NHPI communities or what resources are available up to this point. Then they would coordinate and conduct those training. We're estimating about 20 to 30 training sessions. These are 1 hour training sessions to cover all of our 597 officers within the department. So roughly over a 2-month period, they would provide those 30 training sessions. With 3 consultants, they're estimating $56,250. And then to coordinate the NHPI representative as part of their training curriculum, they want to bring out representatives from the community to integrate them with law enforcement in that training, so that they can get personal experience from them on how they dealt with law enforcement or how law enforcement has historically dealt with them and their families, and provide feedback on what would be a better approach for law enforcement to deal with that community. So to bring them out, they're estimating it would cost $4,200 for those 30 training sessions. I believe they said that would be a breakout of 2 consultants per session. Or 3, sorry, 3. But 2 representatives for those 30 would be $6,000. Again, sorry, I can't see that part. And then they're also anticipating miscellaneous expenses, which is the upfront cost of about $2,000 to develop that training and coordinate everything before they can even get the trainings put on for the department. Total, they estimated would be $77,450. They're basing this on market rates that I haven't seen, but they said that they have done research for. I will ask them for that research as well. I'm assuming this is also market rates that Izzy has had as he's gone around and done trainings for other departments throughout the nation. So that is their cost proposal for legal equity advocates. Are there any questions on theirs?
No.
I forgot to ask about Chief Hahn. Any questions for his proposal as well?
This is part of the 3 groups that will be training
Yes.
officers. I wonder, you just give background on that whole program.
So yes, so we met with 3 different groups. Legal equity advocates are one of the groups that we met with. We also met with True Empowering, who I'll go over their proposal here in a second. They are a group out of, I can't remember, I believe Minnesota?
Chicago.
Chicago, thank you.
Chicago.
But they are mostly educators, right? Their father, Tyrone Bates, I believe, was a retired Chicago police officer.
Or
So
sergeant.
wealth of knowledge there. Yes, sorry,
She was a retired.
retired sergeant.
Yeah.
So they presented more around the lines of an educational background, and you'll see that in their proposal breaks it out very well. The curriculum is very well outlined. And they would cover very much the same categories that legal equity advocates would cover, but with under the caveat of it would be with our African American communities and our refugee and Latino communities as well. So again, bridging that gap between how historically law enforcement has dealt with those communities, what we're lacking and what we can improve on, as well as providing resources that officers can refer back to victims or anybody in the community that they're dealing with. Go ahead, Yvette.
I was just going to say, and tie in the historical content as well, because they do have a representative that lives here in Utah. And he also brings that military contact as well.
Absolutely. And the third group was Equality Utah. We dealt with, I just forgot her name too, sorry.
Olivia
thank you very
Jaramillo.
much. Yeah, so she is the one cost proposal I am still waiting to hear back on. It was supposed to be done today, but I didn't get any response from them. So I'll reach back out to them tomorrow and so we can get that cost proposal. If I do, Michelle, I'll send that to you. Maybe we can send it out to the group and discuss next time. But they are developing their training around the LGBT plus community. Again, how police have dealt with that community, what we're lacking, what we can improve on, how we can bridge the gap between that community and law enforcement, and then providing those resources for helping those within that community that might seek law enforcement assistance. So one other thing that we did talk about, I believe last time, was maybe doing a training around our people with disabilities or mental health. So we do provide that training within the department. We have 2 specialists that offer that training to each of our academy classes. That is definitely something we could incorporate along with these 4 different training sessions, which would round it out to a nice 5 hours of training based around all of those communities. I think that would hit most of the communities we were looking to hit.
What about girls with autism, Brown spectrum?
I think we could incorporate that as well. We still currently do the Culture City training on an annual basis, so that we get that autism specific training and how to deal with that, those experiencing autism.
And that's all officers?
Every officer annually, yep.
And if I can just butt in here, this training is based on a recommendation from this body.
Yes.
To help ensure that the officers in the department have a better understanding of the background and the history of people that they serve, and can understand why there are segments of our community who may not feel safe around officers or may have a different perspective. Partly to help our officers understand that there may be some arm repair done before you can actually investigate the case or get down to business that you're there in the first place, but also to give that whole perspective. Part of the idea for the culture change for the department, of which diversity is one part, but also making sure that there's a background history part of our officers. So these are follow-ups from a previous recommendation from this.
I have a question. Are we suggesting a certain budget, or are we asking them to provide their proposals? Because one proposal is 9,000 and the other is 77,000 something. Are we giving them any parameters of a budget, or we're just taking input and then we will look at our own budget?
So we've asked them to develop their own cost proposal based on the 30 hours of training, as well as development of that training curriculum. They are all very flexible on their cost, from what I understand. So these are just ballpark. The difference with the 9,000 proposal for the video is that would be a one-time fee. He would record the video, and that's something we could play for all of those 30 training sessions. So he wouldn't have to come out here and provide the individual training that each of these different groups would be providing for our officers, or the community engagement aspect. It would be simply the history of policing throughout the United States and here locally that he'd be providing via video. So.
I've got a question. Now, what's the cost of this? This one is $77,000. 77,000. That's for the legal equity
Advocates.
Those are all advocates that'll be. I apologize. My son got into a car accident. I'm sorry.
Oh, so sorry.
Is he okay?
Oh, he's good. He's just got to deal with it now. He's 19. So my thing is that these are, is there going to be a number of advocates that are involved with this, or is it just they're teaching you guys how to become better advocates of the public?
So it would be the 3 on their team that would be training our officers how to deal with the NHPI community better, in a better manner.
So 3 people.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Now, and then one other question.
Yeah.
Have they seeked out any grants that would help offset some of this cost?
No, not at this point.
Can we make any suggestions to that?
I believe so. That would be up to the
Some
commission.
I also have a question / comment. There's a lot of research around DEI training not being particularly effective in changing law enforcement behavior. And so while of course I'm not against this, I'm just curious if as they write these proposals, they're able to provide any source or any evidence that what they're offering is effective. And that you might not be the best person to answer that. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I do think it is mindful that it's, you throw a lot of money at it and there's not really strong evidence that the effects are long term.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with the Commissioner on that, because I think the fact is one of the things we do in our society all the time now is we seek data. Oh, give us the data, but sometimes the data can be so obscure that it doesn't give us a clear picture. So I would agree that we would probably want to see some evidence-based that would go along with that, because that to me, that cost us. There some evidence base on does it work or does it not work? And then on the other side of that, what grants are available? Because of, because we're always talking about police reform from the federal government. I'm sure that there's been a lot of money, but some grants that may be out there that may be available that could possibly cover all of this cost. And I mean, I don't know if we do it on our side or if we do it on their side.
Yes, so the REP has this budget. So this will be all funded by this commission, which is why your voices are important, because you have to vote on it. But based on this cost, it is pretty reasonable for a DEI consultant company, especially that they're gonna be this is for 30 training, 77,000. And the REP budget is big.
Okay.
Just big to say the least, so it's just a matter of what you all feel like you need information on, or if this is suffice, I'll send it out too as well.
Okay.
So that you all can review on your own.
All new to me, so I'm learning. So
Yes,
you're good.
no, the REP does have a budget, which is why SLCPD brings it here. We talk about it, discuss, and then we have a vote when we have enough information, but this is the first time we're all seeing this too.
Okay.
So would it be reasonable then to ask them if they've done any evaluative research on their trainings?
Yes, do you have meetings with them often, Lieutenant Glenn,
Not on a regular basis, but I have met with them online on Teams, Zoom, phone calls. So yeah, I do keep in contact with them. If the commission doesn't think it's unreasonable, I have no objection asking them what evidence-based research they have, or I don't know, to answer your question, sorry.
I know, right? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
That would be great. Do we have anything on the Chicago group?
We do.
Yes.
They provided a very in-depth proposal, which Michelle will send out to everyone. I'll go over their costs, and I might hit on some of the key points within their proposal as well, to give you a better overview of what they're looking to provide. Are we good to move on?
I still have 3 more comments.
Okay.
Number one, I think Michelle mentioned an RFP. If we can review it, and does that mean with the RFP, will there be a pre-qualification for these firms to apply? Number two, what is the sustainability process for these workshops? Will it be one time 30 workshops and we are done? What happens in next 3 years? How is this knowledge going to be embedded in the system so that we don't have to incur this cost every single time? And the third comment is coming from the Muslim community, the Jewish faith-based communities and all. I don't see anything in these proposals where this community is covered. Thank you.
So to answer the question, that is actually one of my questions on the end of this is, do we want to make this an annual training? Is it ongoing that they would do continually? And what would be the budget for that, or would we budget for that? To answer the last question, unfortunately, these were the only groups that responded to our training presentation
Request.
so to speak. Yeah, so we do recognize that those communities aren't.
No, I'm going to
sorry,
take
go
an
ahead.
exception. I'm going to take an exception to that. Being on the commission, I never saw the call for proposal. So if it was circulated amongst at least the commissioners, I would have made sure that I send it to different groups that I know nationally who work in this space. So I think we need more inclusion in the process.
Sure, yeah, no.
Can I speak up,
agree.
Andy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just so you know, Commissioner, the consultants that we reached out to were based on the information we received from the mayor's office because we didn't have those connections personally. So I reached out to the list that I was given, and these are the ones that responded. Had I received any more options, I would have sent them this request just like I sent the proposal to these others. So I do apologize. This is just the information that we were given because we didn't have those contacts. Because I was the one who started this process a year and a half ago, I think now. And this is just where we have ended up right now. So I do apologize, Commissioner. We just didn't have that information to reach out to the different communities because we felt the same way that we were shortchanging and not being able to reach out to all the variety of communities that live in Salt Lake City. So my apologies again.
No need to apologize at all. I think there are things that come when we're hitting full circle. We always look in the rear view mirror and make adjustments. I think that's exactly what's happening at the moment. If the mayor's office did circulate, this list, probably it should have been shared. And if it was, I apologize. I have not seen it. So I think the call should be made more public and more effort needs to be put in to be more inclusive.
Yeah, and definitely, I agree, and we're sorry that you didn't hear about it, but this is something that is evolving. We could always add those communities in anytime and reach out to other people that might be willing to present. If this is going to be an ongoing presentation, I think it would be easy to accommodate all communities as presenters become available, so.
I wonder, Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
So this program has a lot of history with this group, about a year and a half. Some of it is documented in the annual report. The police department has come to this commission and asked for our participation in the selection process with these groups. So we are deeply intertwined with this. Can I recommend that we move this discussion to the training subcommittee for ongoing efforts in this and sustainability, and it was never intended to be a one and done, and it was never intended to be complete. It's a start, and I think that it's a great role for that training committee to see where we are, how we got here, and how we can continue to make sure that these groups are done. Because to your point, one and done never works. And sometimes that first round of distribution doesn't cast a wide enough net, and we learn and we try again. So I do think we have a mechanism to continue with this, and
Yes.
I suggest that it goes to that.
Can I jump on your bandwagon, Steve?
Sure. I'd love to have you.
I was just going to say, in the proposal that we sent to these different consultants, it does stipulate that this is
something that like we're looking to do ongoing, and not just one and done. So it was stipulated in the proposal. I just wanted you guys to know, we knew that this was a starting point when we started this idea and the direction we were taking it. It's just to get it started, it takes a lot of money. And then I think as we evolve, we will add more and just make it grand and what it needs to be.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we move this to the training committee.
You made a second?
My idea, the guy. I'd be happy to get on with that.
Anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I
Thank you, Luna.
Opposed? Go.
She said
Aye.
no, I am opposing the I. So I am opposing. I do want
You are
this.
opposing.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, can we get clarification? You do want to,
I do not agree with the motion to move it to the training. I would like to have this discussion and information in the larger group. It is a large amount of money, and I would want to know the parameters in place. Smaller committees tend to silo the discussion, which affects all of us. Those are my.
we have to vote in this general meeting, but we're not voting today. This is just the first time that Lieutenant Clough has received this information. So they're bringing it to us so that we can have ongoing discussion. I think Commissioner Andrew Worden was just, for any other like questions about training, that would be subcommittee purposes, but all the votes happen in this larger meeting, so nobody will be excluded.
Right.
And I think that, if I may speak, I think that it will help putting it in that smaller committee to be able to gather. And if you need to send, or we all would send any of our concerns of the proposals and what we think that need to be in those proposals to the training committee, then that way they would be more apt to get us, gather more of that information and then bring it to here so that we have a better overview of it, so that way we're able to move forward much quicker than having it get stalled out here.
And that has been our process, and any commissioner can attend any committee.
Yes, it has been. They want.
Yeah. And if you, I would, yeah.
Are we able to let Lieutenant Clough finish the rest of the presentation?
Please.
I just wanna.
Sorry.
You're okay. I wanted to make sure we had all the questions answered, so.
Yes, and Luna, if you can send those questions specifically to me in the chat, I will record them so that I have what you are asking, what the 3 different questions you had.
I'll try, but I think in the recording, you can go back and hear the comments. I am requesting the copy of the RFP, please.
Okay.
Yes,
We'll
this
make
will
sure
be
you
sent to
send it,
everybody, the
yes.
slides.
We can move to the next slide then. Okay, so going back to True Empowering, this is the group out of Chicago. They have 3 people that work out of Chicago, all family, Dr. Bates Jr., and then their father as well. And then they have 1 representative that also works here locally in Utah. Like I had mentioned, and Captain Zayas mentioned, they do represent the African American, the refugee, Latino communities, as well as our military veteran communities. So they do have a wide background that they will cover as far as their training goes with dealing with law enforcement officers, the historical background behind law enforcement as well. They provided 3 different cost proposals for a basic package, an intermediate package, and then the complete package. All offer varying and different things, but as you increase in the packages, they include the package before it. So for this basic package, they will develop the professional development sessions for officers and civilian staff at a cost of $2,100 per session. This is the 1-hour training that they're developing. With the 30 training sessions, that would bring their investment up to $63,000. The training manual that they would provide to our officers, they would have printed copies, one per participant. They would cost $35 at a quantity of 700, roughly. It would be around $24,500. And then for their planning and preparation, this is their upfront costs. They're estimating $400 for each of those 30 sessions at around $12,000, with a total of $99,500 for their basic package. If you want to move to the next slide. The intermediate package includes everything that I just read off, as well as their professional development center, which is an online portal. They would give us from between 300 to 800 licenses to access that portal at $175 per license. The estimated cost is, I believe, $87,500. What that includes, yes, go ahead.
Those licenses, is that a one-time license fee or is that a yearly?
From what I understand, one-time license fee, full access to their professional development center. The on-site PD sessions that they have on the website or the portal, they value at $5,800 or $5,850. They also have several modules for professional development that are on there in their PD center that they value at $105,000 to show kind of the cost savings with what they're estimating on there, as well as a digital copy of that manual that they're providing printed to each of our officers that would be available on there. They do provide an intermediate package discount to include the professional development center of $61,000, and that would bring the total for the intermediate package to $143,250. Welcome, sorry. Sorry. You're okay. And then the third cost proposal. Michelle, sorry. You're okay. So includes everything that I just stated, as well as a professional development session for what they're calling the cabinet level. That's more of our leadership centered professional development module that they developed. They're 4-hour sessions. There's 20 total hours valued at $8,400. They estimated it would be $1,500 for 5 of us, so $7,500 roughly. They do provide a complete package discount of $102,750, which would bring the total for the complete package to $160,750.
Question?
Yes.
Would they be able to present this and show us what this looks like?
I believe so. And again, if we do have more questions and they can't provide the information, I think they would be willing to join us on the commission as well and answer any questions that you have. I can reach out to them if that is something the commission would like.
Okay, I would love that.
Okay. Because they could definitely speak to it a little bit better than I do.
And have you had any officers look at this?
No. So I just received this full cost proposal a couple hours ago and was able to send it to Michelle. So I haven't reviewed everything. However, they do have some metrics that they're willing to help measure whether or not it's been effective training or lasting training. Looking at complaint reduction, assessment scores by a pre and a post test or survey that they're willing to conduct as well. They're willing to look at the number of racially charged incidents and whether or not those are increasing or going down post-training, so that they can provide metrics to the commission on whether or not this is valuable.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And again, they provided a very extensive proposal with the cost analysis that's been included with Michelle, and she'll send it out to everyone so that you can peruse that and see what you like, what you don't like. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to Michelle and I can reach back out to them and get answers for you on those.
Great, thank you so much.
And you haven't received from.
Haven't received Equality Utah's yet. They are very excited to be considered still, and we're working on the cost proposal. I'll get that to the commission as soon as I get that from them. So I do understand they've been very busy and have been out of town
They-
relatively frequently, so,
They've been at the Hill, so they've been really busy.
yeah.
Yes. I think I will wait for that one and then send it all at one time so you all can review it. So it's not so many different emails.
I would appreciate that.
Yes, because they are, like, they would be a group together,
Absolutely.
all three groups.
So some questions that I did get from the presenters, and I think we've kind of answered this one. Well, maybe not this one, but if this was going to be an ongoing training, I think the commission is in agreement that that's going to be an annual residual training that's going on. One question that did come up is if the cost proposals are accepted, how can they expect payment? Is it going to be a one-time payment upon completion? Is it going to be quarterly or weekly? And then they did ask that upfront costs be paid so before the trainings begin so that they can begin to develop everything and if their proposal is accepted.
So we know what those costs are, because they're in the proposal. Right?
Yeah. And then with regard to the metrics for true empowering, they did want feedback on whether or not you feel the metrics are a good measure of whether or not it was a good training, or if you have any other metrics that you would like to see that are measured post-training, please let me know and I can pass that along to them as well. So. Yeah, that's about it. Any questions for me on those?
So based on those proposed metrics, that assumes that the police department is willing to share like information about complaints. Is that accurate or is that a false assumption?
So there is some information typically that we would be able to share. I couldn't speak definitively to that right now. We've had a very good relationship with this commission, but there is some information that is not public. So I would have to look at that.
I mean, even if you guys.
They could provide numbers, they wouldn't be able to provide specifics.
Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing just the numbers, you know,
Sure.
break them out in categories, but the numbers in there, so we don't want anybody to be called out unfairly or something, you know. So I would like to see something like that, you know, more in some formula.
I think that is something that we will more than likely be able to accommodate. I do know that we released to the Civilian Review Board certain data and statistics. So I don't know that that would be a problem, and maybe we could just use that data as well if that's the same metrics that we're looking at.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
No problem.
Next we have the refugees and New American update. You need a mic?
All right, I think we have a mic. So I've heard that a couple of people are new to this commission, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start with some basics. This is redundant for anyone. If you already knew this, then I apologize. But for those of you that don't know, there are 28 million refugees in the world today. Less than 0.5% will be permanently resettled in a third country like the United States. In Utah, we have around 68,000 refugees from our resettlement program. That does not include asylum seekers or asylees, but it does include the direct descendants of people who came through the refugee program. Almost all of those are residing in Salt Lake City or Salt Lake Valley. And you know, this year will be the first year that we start resettlement up in Logan. We have a resettlement agency that just started called CRIC, but traditionally all refugees have gone to Salt Lake Valley. It is just getting a little bit too expensive to continue that trend. When refugees arrive in Utah, they're provided with casework for the first 12 to 15 months. This is better than the national average. Most refugees are only provided casework for 90 days upon arrival. This casework is intended to help refugees integrate by assisting with employment, enrollment in schools, English classes, teaching public transportation, setting up healthcare plans and getting to appointments, official paperwork, and bank accounts. This is a lot to do within even 12 months. And by the end of this, we find that most refugees have not fully integrated, fully succeeded with this process. One part in particular has also been completely overlooked, and that is social integration. That's where our program comes in, the Know Your Neighbor Volunteer Program. We believe that ties to the community, particularly friendships, are vital to success. For us, integration is a two-way process in which newcomers, refugees, and the receiving society, Salt Lake City, work together to build and secure vibrant and cohesive communities. To help achieve this, we pair mainstream community members with refugees to facilitate those friendships and to help with anything else that is needed due to a limited case management period. Just some statistics for you on the program that I oversee. In 2022, we had 250 volunteers contribute a total of 4,300 volunteer hours. This brings our total up to 18,000 volunteer hours for program to date. And last year, about a little bit over 1,000 refugees were impacted. This was accomplished through 65 individual matches, 10 Refugee Services Office programs supported, 16 partner agencies, and volunteers sent to 9 refugee community-based organizations. So that's a little bit of an update on what I do. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Thank you.
Alrighty, and I'll pass it over to Roxana.
Did we skip Damien?
Just go ahead and then we'll go back.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Oh,
No, that's okay.
I apologize.
I'll go quickly, I just. Yeah, so we just wanted to, Chris and I am the new policy advisor for refugee new Americans, and we just wanted to come and introduce ourselves and see how we can collaborate, help any of the work you do. And basically, my role is internal in that I pretty much advocate or sit at the table when it comes to any new programs or policies that the city is thinking or has done before, and I come through the lens of the new Americans, which is an umbrella term for everyone who is new to the city, who comes here irrelevant of their status, and refugees as well. So just wanted to tell you a little bit about what we do.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so now I'm embarrassed. So our new chief equity officer. How you doing, Damon?
I'm doing well.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate you allowing me to be in this space with you all and with the DEI team. I'm really excited to build upon what Coletta, the ecosystem that she's kind of instilled, and I just want to continue to elevate it and have some crucial conversations with PD, but also constituents and inside internally to our divisions and departments, and how we can look at policies that are a bit archaic and do some updating, do some house cleaning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm just super excited that you're all taking the time out of your schedules and being present here, and just echoing with what Commissioner is saying, is looking about what does accountability look like and how we can be a bridge and not disempower folks that do have the power to keep our communities safe, but also just having a critical lens and saying, have you considered this? And really listening and looking at what behavior looks like and saying, what does this bridge look like? And are we moving together, or are we kind of leaving some folks behind? So I'm hopeful.
I think while we have you here, Damien, did you want to bring up to the commission, in terms of like statements and the conversation we had a couple weeks ago, to see what that looks like? Yeah, it would be a good way to like preface it here with the general.
Sure. And I believe, Chief did give you a call.
He did.
And so I know sometimes, when incidents, like what happened in Tennessee, sometimes the mayor's office may ask the commission, here to propose a statement, but I also understand sometimes you all, depending on the capacity and bandwidth that you all have of like, what does a statement look like? And so giving you time, excuse me, to push something out and being thoughtful and that you all agree on would be helpful. And so whatever that looks like, I know Michelle and Chief Brown can help facilitate it, but also our mayor's comms team can help. If you want to have like a press conference for the commission, I know we can help facilitate that. And so I know that could be an option for you all as well. So.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
So, it's review of the subcommittee goals and priorities. The first one would be training.
So let's take this one a little bit differently. I know,
Okay, I'll let Michelle take over.
since it seems like most of these subcommittees will be happening, is it okay if we started in March with all the subcommittees going? That gives you all time to rearrange any schedules. We are sticking with the times on here. The only thing I am questioning now, due to the depth of training, is do we need longer than 30 minutes? Because that was the only one that had 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think in the
I think
past,
60,
Tanya,
yeah,
it was,
it was 30, but it was
Right.
to 60.
so should it be a 5:30 to 6:30?
Yes.
And really quickly, I know some individuals aren't on subcommittees, and I just wanna make sure as I'm sending out these calendar invites that anybody who wants to serve on it is on it. So for training, we have Commissioner Hawkins, Commissioner McDonald, and Commissioner Calvert. Are there any other people that wanna serve on the training subcommittee?
I'll do the training, schedule wise.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, Commissioner Sullivan,
Pardon?
Commissioner Sullivan.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
We wanna recognize you for the record.
Yes, yes.
So I'll have you on together.
Give me back 10 minutes.
This is an inclusive space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else for training? And new commissioners can join as well. Last call for training.
Michelle, can we invite you to that meeting just because, we wanna see, what type of training there is for the refugee community interaction.
Yes. So let me brief you all on training.
Yeah.
So this is,
Yeah.
I think there might be some confusion, and I entered my role, and there were already 3 groups who signed up to present. Similar to like what Captain Zayas was saying, a list was given to her, these are the people they reached out to, the people that reached back out to us. I think there were 10 people. When I got into my role, we were already interviewing these 3 groups. These were the only 3 groups. And it's not something that is, as we all know, in the US, this commission is fairly new. Like you look up racial equity and policing, and Salt Lake City is first to come up. So everything that we're doing is new. I think we need to give one another grace as we're going through this, SLCPD included, because they're shifting a lot of things, right? This is a culture. This is not just SLCPD culture, this is a police culture, a police reform, and Salt Lake City should be proud of the strides that we are taking to move towards this. So now that we're building this training and with the budget that we have, the budget allotted by mayor and city council is specifically to go towards these initiatives that were outlined in phase 1. What it looks like over time, we need to, again, go forth to mayor and city council and show them all that we've done, all the great things that we've done. Since this training does not exist yet, we need to see it play out, starting sometime in September, right, Lieutenant Clough? And then see those measures, and then I can bring that data back to mayor and city council, and then we can make it, probably something that's in policy or written in ordinance, an institutional change. But as we are going with this training, I just wanna keep in mind that this is like the first time we're doing this, and we should give ourselves a pat on the back for that. I don't know what money, I can be straightforward about this, I don't know what money there is to be ongoing. My understanding of the budget that is allotted to the REP is to see these initiatives, these 75 plus items from phase 1 come into life. They need to see a little bit more of what we have been doing. So once this training, I'm sure they would want a lot money to it, but it's something that I cannot promise right now. I need to see on the back end of what this looks like. And I can tell you in our meetings with SLCPD and the training subcommittee, which we're open to commissioners to attend if they wanted to, we did discuss these missing populations that we don't have represented. I am a DEI trainer by nature and like my day-to-day, and DEI trainers can cover a robust amount of information. I'm not saying that goes to say that there shouldn't be inclusion from the community or the people that are part of that community, but these are conversations we are already having with the subcommittee about it, whether that means bringing in people from Salt Lake City community that represent the disability community, that represent the refugees and new Americans community. We are trying to include that, and this is why your input is very important, because as they're building the curriculum, kind of like what Lieutenant Clough touched on, like True Empowering, they really want to hear from you all. They want to hear what this curriculum looks like. So if they need to, these consultants, they're not new at this type of thing. I just want to emphasize that. So they are able to touch more of a wide range of backgrounds, but please keep in mind this training is, we decided five hours max already with everything we have.
Yeah.
SLCPD officers, all of them, all 500 officers are going through 5 hours specifically to DEI training. So we want to keep in mind what we can squeeze in, what budget we have, and all the communities we want to squeeze in, but I feel like maybe we need to work with what we have right now and see what curriculum they can come up with. If it's not sufficient, then we go ahead and add more people, but we have to consider all of that into the budget too. Because just because they're community members, right, we don't want them to just volunteer their time to train SLCPD officers. So I just want everybody to be on one basis. This training subcommittee is coming with good intentions. I don't think anybody meant to leave out any community. And anybody is welcome to join this training subcommittee, but that's just kind of the basis, so we're all on one page, because there's new commissioners, there's commissioners who have been in and out of different meetings, but this is kind of the basis. This is our first training. It's not gonna be the set in stone training, like this is the one they're always gonna follow, but I want us to all see like the bigger picture. There's 5 hours, 30 sessions. These are experts in the DEI field, and yes, sometimes you are gonna have to talk about communities based on your experience, even if you're not a part of it. So if we have curriculum suggestions and recommendations, I want us to jot those down. Please email me so that I can keep that in mind too as we're having more conversations.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I think what you were saying, just so I have a clear understanding, is that this is more training for our police officers.
Yes, this DEI training is specifically for SLCP.
So it doesn't go outside of that part of it. So I think this stays within the Salt Lake City
Yes, Salt Lake City, that's where the budget goes towards and everything. Yes, so we're not even training all the officers in Utah, this is just Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City, but yes, Roxanne, I will add you to those meetings so you can provide insight, I was gonna touch base with you about it.
Does everybody have a copy of phase one? They read it?
Yes, I will send that to make sure again,
Yeah,
but it's,
so they can have an idea of like what we've done. Look,
yes, all the new commissioners have it.
they do.
Yeah, all the new commissioners in your welcome packets, I did submit that
Oh, okay.
to them, yes.
Thank you.
And then for our veteran commissioners, it is still online and public on the REP website too, if you need a refresher. Okay, so for training, we have those 4 individuals. If you want to join after this, please let me know. For policy and practices, I have Commissioner Summerfield and Commissioner Durante. Does anybody wanna join policy and practices? I know this kind of was non-existent in the past, but there are some policy issues that are coming up now. So all these subcommittees will launch in March. And there are officers assigned to this subcommittee as well.
I would like to
Commissioner
join the,
Benoit,
yes, please.
policy and practice.
I would also like to join.
Okay, Commissioner Benuri and Commissioner Tawapal. That's 4 people on that subcommittee.
I actually realized on the second Monday of March that I have recurring meetings that same day,
At the same time.
at the same time. So I don't know if I should, either we can find a new time, or I'm happy to step aside and do a different committee.
Do you have another commission of interest or a committee of interest?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to do the training one, or.
I think you'll be good on that with your expertise with higher ed and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want
okay.
to.
Yeah.
I'll move you to that one.
Okay, that's great, yeah.
That would be great.
Sorry about that. I just
No,
realized
that's okay.
that's the same Monday, only Monday meeting I have.
Yes.
The same Monday.
No worries. And I do want to remind you all, all of these meetings, including this meeting, you do get paid for your time on this commission. And every that counts with subcommittees as well. So we're gonna move on to school safety. So we have Commissioner Summerfield, Commissioner Satini, and Commissioner Uman. Does anybody else? And I believe Nicole's on this.
Is it
one.
Nicole?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
no, she's very.
That's her,
passionate, I
that's
know.
her lady.
Well, I would like to join that, but do you guys have a particular, certain amount of people in
No.
a certain committee?
No,
Oh, okay. Then
I would like all of you to serve at least on one if you can.
I'd like to join that.
Thank you, Commissioner. And then our last one, if we still have, oh no, I think he knocked off. We did have a commissioner online with us from the ADC, that's the Accessibility and Disability Commission. So our Mental Health and Sensory Needs Commission, this is a new commission. And right now, this is a new committee, sorry. Right now we have Commissioner Sagato Malva and Commissioner Calvert on that. And then we had 4 people from the ADC, so just so you all know, show interest in that commission and in that committee as well. So are there anybody else who wants to serve on this one?
So can we join that?
Yes, you want to join this one?
Yes.
And since this one is a new subcommittee, I do need to let you know, Lieutenant Cuff, to get officers assigned to that, so I will touch base, I'll probably give you a call. But that's on the 4th Monday, so we have some time, but I will get it on your radar.
And we're starting this in March.
We're starting all the subcommittees in March, and I think I already got your list for the other subcommittees, but since this one's new. And this will be an overlap of commissioners from this commission as well as commissioners from EDC.
This is, something that we do in person, or is it like?
Virtual, yes. So all subcommittees, I should preface that, will be virtual, but these regular meetings, I will encourage you if you can to attend in person, because this will be like our face-to-face time. But for all the subcommittees, I won't make you come in person, we can do it virtually, and I'll send the Zoom links with Okay, does anybody have questions about the subcommittees before we move on and I pass it back to Commissioner Hawkins, Commissioner Chair Hawkins? Okay, I'll send out those invites.
Thank you. So we're moving now to the tentative closed session. We have nobody from the public, so I think we're good. Do I need to read it?
No,
No, it's okay. It's what happened one day. It's okay.
Sorry, I'm not transparent at all. And so, next is the review of the racial equity and policing commission meetings for 2023.
So basically, that's just.
So this is just the dates that we have.
Yes.
So did you send out meeting invites or?
Yes. So speaking of that, I know there was probably a lot of back and forth with the meeting invites, and we have been adding new commissioners as well. So I'm making sure, one, the new commissioners are on our email list, because it's just, I can easily type in REP commission members and all of you should be in there. And then for the meeting times, please make sure you accept it on your calendars. It may have came in and it may have said like a June date. It's just a series of dates that started, it just started at that time. So I'm just making sure, although you see June 2022, clearly that has passed. So just make sure you're accepting those invites. If you need me to forward them to you, I can. And I will do better about texting you all, but I have been getting out the emails at least twice before the meeting happens. So 2 days before the meeting happens and then the day up. So if you see my email pattern, that's kind of what I'm doing. And I'll be good about texting as well. I do have to get some of your numbers after this meeting.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Yes. So our next meeting will be on March 9th, and we'll have subcommittees starting in March as well. So then you can just call to adjourn.
So I call to adjourn the meeting.
Make a
Yeah.
motion.
Well-
Yeah, everybody's gonna do that. I'll second.
Any opposed? Okay, we're good.
Okay. Thank you, everyone online.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.